Well, alrighty, here it is, the inaugural edition of Remarks from Marks. This is basically where we answer your questions. We asked you to send in questions to bestinthebiziness@gmail.com, and you guys did. A lot of them are really stupid.
We admitted those that were stupid.
Right.
Admitted.
But you know what? Continue sending the questions in, and even if they're stupid, we might read it on air just to ridicule you and get your name out, so your friends and family will also
Ridicule you.
Yes, exactly. But you know what? Let's just get right to it. No bullshit. Just gonna get right into it. And if I mispronounce your name,
Tough shit.
I really don't care.
Yep.
Okay.
It's your fault for not being named something simple, like
Right.
Phil.
This is the first question here. We're gonna kick off this little soiree from BJ Bethel. Question for Kaz and Chris. That's you and I.
That's us.
For both of you. Both
Okay.
of us. Thank God it wasn't just directed at one of us. Do you believe that there's a proportion of virgins in the crowd? And the number of fake contrived chants? Question mark? Or is this just a millennial thing to ruin wrestling shows? So if I understand the question right, I'm not sure the grammar's on point, but we'll let that slide.
Yep.
I think what he or she is asking is, do we think there's a bunch of virgins in the crowd that make up a chance just to kind of get themselves over? Or if it's just a millennial thing to ruin wrestling shows? Want to take a stab at it?
I do think that sometimes fans decide that they want to be more entertaining than the people that are risking their health and well-being to be professional wrestlers, and I find it to be a little disrespectful. There are times where I find that chants are legitimate outpourings of true emotion and appreciation, and those are the chants I don't mind. But if it's not about the wrestling that's going on in the ring at the time you're watching it, maybe shut up.
I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. Doing stupid chants for the sake of doing it, like the post-WrestleMania Raw crowds that are just chanting ridiculous stuff. Like, I don't understand the mindset. Is it, hey, I recorded this, listen to that chant, I was doing that too.
I was part of that.
Like, whatever. Like he said, if the chant is something that has emotion and meaning behind it, cool. And BJ, I don't believe they're all virgins. I'm sure some of them have paid some of the finest call girls in the world for services of coitus and various
Possibly.
various other things. So they might not all be virgins. Some of them may have paid. So thank you, BJ. That was our first question. Oof, we're off and running.
We're off and
running. We're off and walking. Trey Kishin Beats. I butchered that, but I'm sorry. Trey Kishin Beats. Hello, Addiction. I have a statement and two questions. First, I want to say I'm a huge fan of your work.
Thank you.
You guys have been doing this for what feels like a lifetime.
Feels like a lifetime to us too, pal. Thanks for bringing that up.
But you guys still have so much left in the tank. We do.
I do.
I'm not an old mad wrestling fan. I'm a young mad wrestling fan. I'm an old mad wrestler. So we're going. It sickened me the way those fans disrespected Daniels during and after the pay-per-view, referring to Lowell, Massachusetts. Sickened me too. All for a journeyman who disrespects the company hasn't even signed. That's Cody. It's that smarky mentality, and I'm glad you two turned the other cheek to the fans. I'm glad we did too. They deserved it, and I hope you guys beat the Young Bucks' ass and take those belts. We're going to be fighting the Young Bucks for the rest of our lives, so there's a good chance we're going to beat their ass one time.
Probably.
My two questions. If you could wrestle one of these two tag teams, who would you choose? The Midnight Express or the Thrill Seekers?
Well, with all due respect to Chris Jericho and Lance Storm, I feel like as a tag team, in terms of the overall scope of tag team wrestling, I feel like the Midnight Express is the team that's more looked upon as the trendsetters of tag team wrestling. And I certainly, as a fan, model a lot of our mentality off of what entertained me so much about them in the 80s and 90s. So I would have to go with Midnight Express. Again, with all due respect to Chris and Lance, who are people that I respect and people that I've wrestled on one time or another. So
Sure. I mean, you can't not say yes to a match with the Midnight Express. Like you said, it's, you know, they're one of those dream opponents and one of those teams that wrestlers from our generation grew up watching. idolizing.
And honestly, if you asked me if I wanted to wrestle the Thrill Seekers, I'd say yes as well.
Sure.
But if you're making me choose, and I only get one,
Well, no, I'm Trey Kishin beats. I'm altering the question, and I'm going to book this match as a 3-way tag.
cool. Did the Midnight Express ever do a 3-way tag in their career?
I don't know, but I wonder what the rules were.
Yeah, I mean, 3-way tags
Sure,
probably
that's-
came around
yeah, I don't think that was
after
in vogue.
they
I don't think that
after
was
they
in
failed
vogue.
or finished.
Yeah, yeah, definitely
Possibly.
Midnight Express, but of course, would love to wrestle Lance. Would love to wrestle Chris.
I've gone on record as saying that's the one dream match for me is Chris Jericho, just because of
Absolutely.
how much I've always respected his career. So even in a tag match, that would be awesome.
Certainly, there's no wrong answer. Good question. Good question.
Well done, sir.
Yeah,
And that was half of it.
We're slowly getting better. Number 2, and I'm going to let you go ahead and field this one because this is your expertise.
Yes.
Certainly more so than I. What's one comic that you can read multiple times without getting bored?
I am a huge fan. I've gone on record millions of times as saying that the comic book that got me into comic books was The Uncanny X-Men, written by Chris Claremont, drawn by John Byrne. And of that particular run, which is landmark, groundbreaking stuff, the Dark Phoenix saga stands head and shoulders above all that. That's my go-to, one of my favorite comic books, and so that whole entire run, which I believe was Uncanny X-Men 129 through 138, and 138 is actually the epilogue of that saga because everyone knows Jean Grey, Dark Phoenix, sacrificed herself in X-Men 137. So there you have it.
I'm going to say if there's ever a game show created where the category is solely based on comic books and heavy metal / rock and roll, Christopher Daniels and myself
We're the team to beat.
would own the universe because of information like that.
Yep.
Okay, another one. This is from, Jesus. Could John Smith please send me a question? This is from Adnan Kurishi.
Okay.
Apologies again.
Sorry, Adnan.
Sorry. All right. Hey there, CD and Frankie. Hi.
Hey there.
How you doing? You all right? Been a huge fan of yours. Been a huge fan of for years, and I
Okay.
was ecstatic to have been there live for when CD won the ROH World Championship. I was there too.
Fallen Angel.
Yep. Oh,
Okay, thank you.
of the world in Las Vegas. Very
Well
good.
done,
Well
well
done. Well done. I'll give you that. And have another time for an ROH tag title defense you guys had against a New Japan team. I have 2 comic book related questions going in this comic book theme,
Okay.
if you don't mind answering. Speaking of the comic that I just answered, my favorite, Oh Yeah comic, when is the next Oh Yeah comics coming out? I've been on the edge of my seat since the second one.
If you have been lucky enough to attend a Ring of Honor show since February of this year, you have been able to purchase All Yeah Comics Team Up #1, written by me, starring us. And you may have found out that the end of that particular issue ended in a cliffhanger. Part 2 is solely up to the schedule of our artist and good friend Art Baltazar, one of the busiest men in comic books today. Just recently finished drawing superpowers for DC Comics, and is also helping to draw, I want to say, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch comic book for Archie Comics. So as soon as the time frees up in Art Baltazar's schedule, he will be working on All Yeah Comics Team Up #2, and that will it will answer all the questions raised by issue #1.
Yeah, like you guys, like you just said, you know, the guys that do this for us, Art and Franco, are 2 of the most busy men in the industry. And, you know, they're very good friends of ours, but, you know, they have to do their work first before they, you know, do the partnership stuff with us. So we're just very fortunate that these 2 have come out. And
I'm
it's been
thrilled
awesome,
that
man.
we've gotten 2 comic books out of them, and I'm thrilled that they want to work on the 3rd. And I will tell you this, if all goes according to my plan, once the 3rd book is released, soon after we will have a collection of all 3 comic books put together in trade paperback form, and hopefully that will be available in comic stores throughout the United States, because that is the current that's the current trend right now, is for people to wait until entire stories are told and then purchase trade paperbacks for whatever reason, whether it's economical or just convenience. Whatever the reason, that's fine with us. If you want to wait until the third book is released to get to see all 3 issues of me and Frankie's collaboration with All Yeah Comics, that's up to you. But as soon as that happens, we're waiting to get them collected and put out in a trade paperback form.
All right, in the second part, I'll go ahead and
Part
throw this
two?
one to you. Part 2 of
Okay.
the question. If you two were to have a tag team match against a comic book duo, who would it be?
Well,
Thanks, guys. I'll stay addicted. Thank you.
all right, thank you, pal. My first instinct is to go with Batman and Robin, but Batman seems to be like the guy that you would hate to take a hot tag from.
We beat the shit out of Robin.
Oh, Robin,
We would absolutely
easily,
beat the shit out
easily.
of Robin.
And it doesn't matter if it's Jason Todd Robin or Dick Grayson Robin,
Yep.
or Damian Wayne, who's the current Robin. We whoop ass, seriously. But having said that, us bullying around a 15-year-old kid probably wouldn't go over well, so we probably wouldn't get the match booked, especially in Philadelphia, where everyone knows you can't wrestle until you're 18. So I would probably say that the dream match for both of us would probably be Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian versus Cable and Deadpool, because we are very much alike in many ways. I am old and grizzled like Cable. Frankie is a smartass and very surly like Deadpool, and we're both have the extraordinary mutant power to be absolutely delightful in everything we do.
Book it.
Book it, Marvel Comics.
Promote, yeah, Marvel Comics promoters.
Or Fox Movies, since they're the ones that have the license for the Deadpool movie.
International promoters.
Book it.
We laid the challenge out. Very good. Good question. All right, we got one more here before we bore you to death. This is from Kevin. Kevin TH.
Kevin TH. That's
This is
his whole
actually-
name.
That's his email.
Oh,
That's his
okay.
email. Unless your name is Kevin.
Kevin.
It might be
He's the
Kevin.
Kevinth.
He's the Kevin.
He's the 7th Kevin.
Yeah. This is a good one. Music/wrestling.
Uh-oh. This might be Frizz.
Being a lifelong musician, I can often relate things in musical terms or thoughts. Do you ever see performing in a ring in a musical way, in terms of the rhythm, improvising, playing after a partner in the ring as you would play off a drummer, etc.? Now, I also myself am a musician. I play bass guitar. My band Vex Temper, my band Gutter Candy, check them both out. Cheap plug. Until I read this question, I had never really equated the two, other than the performance aspect of it, performing in front of a live crowd and being out there without a net and doing things in one take. But you know what, the way you describe this question, like, playing off your partner or your opponent, the way you'd play off your drummer when he does a fill and when you're going into a lead or something, it absolutely makes sense. I had never thought of it that way, but it all correlates, and I think it has to do with the fact that it's all art, and a lot of times it is improvising and feeling it. Same way if you do certain things in the ring when a crowd is reacting in a different way than you thought. The same way is if you're playing a gig and you have the crowd up and dancing, and you got a couple songs that maybe the tempo slows down and that will put those people back in their seats. You call an audible, and you play a song that's more upbeat, more up tempo. You switch things up. So yeah, really this really opened my eyes that wow, it is kind of the same in terms of playing off your partner or your opponent, the same way you play off your bass player, your singer, your drummer. So really good question. Thank you, Kevin. You know what? That's all we're gonna do for now. We'll do this again at some point once we collect decent amount of good questions. Again, the stupid ones will be deleted. The really stupid ones will be read on the air so we can make fun of you. And,
So yeah, if you're gonna poop the bed, go all out, and we'll make sure you somehow get mentioned, even if it's just a mock.
bestinthebiziness@gmail.com. I'm gonna put it somewhere right there.
Right around there.
Send them in.